All right, we're now ready to begin our midweek press conference. We're now joined by head coach Rod Barnes, and we'll open up the questions.
Well, Coach, since you've been able to exhale and look back at the Riverside game, your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was a good game. Thought both teams, played a good 40 minutes. Obviously, there's ebbs and flows in the game always, but thought down the stretch again, as I had mentioned, I thought we had some difficult calls, even after going back and looking at it, that affected the game. And I thought after that we didn't make a play. We needed to make a play after the flagrant foul was called, and we didn't. So we had a chance still, but that's just a difficult situation in that particular point. We need to get more consistency in play call. It's just that simple. I went back and looked at the call that they called on Marvin the fourth. I mean, the bumping and stuff that had been going on throughout the game, it just was no reason to call that foul out at half court at that particular point. But again, we had our chances, and again, they made some plays, and we had an opportunity to steal, and we didn't make the play. But I was pretty proud of our kids overall. But as I told them, we need to get better. We got to continue to, move forward to play better. Also went back and, as I probably should have tried to do something a little bit different with our lineup and to get Corey back in there down the stretch there, at least under the 4-minute mark, and didn't. And I don't know whether it would have changed the outcome of the game, but, just giving you my going back and looking at things, probably should have given him the opportunity to try to figure out, which we've got to do this week, to put him and Marvin the fourth in the game together. And we haven't done that, and we probably need to start to look at that. Some of that's because Marvin the fourth is learning the small forward position and hadn't played him at the power forward position as much. So we got to try to implement that. We got time, and Corey's played both positions, and right now he's playing a lot of what we call our forward position, and normally that would be a turn mark where he would be. So, but we just got to make those adjustments, and you have to do that during the season, and that's an adjustment we need to make. And again, having not really worked on it as much, felt hesitant to go away from what we were doing, and probably should have.
Referencing the foul on Marvin the fourth, was that the one with about a minute to go? You're down by 3? Is that one you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, because you guys didn't want a foul there, right?
No,
it was a one-possession game.
It was one possession. No, we didn't. And it was he bumped him. It could have been called, but just what had been going on between the two teams. I mean, if you look at some of the plays that CJ and Jamel, and again, nothing against them, because I thought we bumped them some, earlier. But to call that with a minute and a half to go or something like that, just tough call to me to make in that situation. I just think for the playing of the game, and both teams have put a lot on the line, I just think sometimes it's just difficult to make those kind of calls. It didn't stop him from going to the basket. It didn't knock him off balance. It didn't cause for a turnover. It wasn't an intentional foul. It was a guy that comes up to try to double team. The guy did what a smart player is supposed to do, ran right beside his hip, and they made contact. But the kid never even changed directions or anything. And so, again, we'll have to do a better job of, but it's just in those situations at that particular point, for what all had happened throughout the game, you don't get to the end of the game. If it had been called that way all along, then you can expect that. But that's not the case.
You just had a feel of let the players decide the game.
Exactly. I mean, and again, if we had knocked him down or knocked him off his path, or, or it was a deliberate foul, or it was a bump foul. But everybody had been bumping. If you go back and look at some of the other plays up under the basket, it was chaos under there. But again, we talked to Marvin and talked to our team I mean, it's hard to tell them when it's been going on to, not do that. It's easier if it's called that way from the beginning,
So we're back to the Tom Mark watch.
Yeah.
Where are we on that? What is your level of optimism upon a return?
I don't have an update right now. He's seeing doctors this afternoon to kind of see where we are and can we move forward. He's been off the boot and out of the boot, but I think we'll get an evaluation today or a little bit more when the expected time will be. Seeing Tom yesterday, he did get a chance to get on the floor a little bit, not practice, but just some individual stuff on his own. Again, I think we'll just find out from the doctor this afternoon, what does he think and when it might happen. So obviously we have to, which we've been doing, planning to go without him, but hoping that he's back soon. So I'll probably have a better answer for you tomorrow after this evening with his visit with the doctor.
So he's walking, not practicing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did some stuff on his own, but
Right.
haven't been in practice. And again, I don't know. We'll find out whether he get released to get back into practice or it's not time yet or whatever.
Is it probably fair to say, though, this is Tuesday, that Thursday's probably not looking good? Not holding you to it, I'm just saying it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I would say that. I don't want to say that, but I would say that, because, you would want to get him back on the floor and get him in practice with our guys. And I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow. But, again, hopefully this week we can start moving him towards getting back, and hopefully they release him today to get back with us, but we won't know that until afterwards.
You've seen pretty much everybody in the league. Cal Poly you haven't seen. And in watching your games, it just seems like whether you're playing first place or last place, this is just going to be a dogfight in this conference. It just seems to be, sure, you got two teams that might be at the top, and Riverside's sort of climbing a little bit, but it just seems like you might have different styles, but everybody plays to within 6 points of each other a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, I think, the coaches in this league do a really good job in whatever style that is. And I think they do a good job of recruiting to their system. And it's just great competition. It's just like you said, like I looked at Fullerton when we went to their place, and I was nervous about the game. I've been studying Cal Poly since Sunday morning, and I'm nervous about this game. But that's where it's been, regardless. I thought Riverside, and I'm hopeful because I think it's happening in our league a little bit when teams kind of get on a run and have a little hot streak there and win 2 or 3 games in a row, and then, they may lose one. And I'm hoping that we can get to the point of winning 2 or 3 games in a row. And I think that'll give us a little bit more separation. But I watched Poly, and they play Irvine at Irvine and lead them most of the first half. And obviously the second half the game got away from them. But this is a dangerous team we have coming in here on Thursday.
So I know Kuntz, the big guy, has been a leading scorer for a lot of games. Hyder on the outside. Tell me a little bit about what your concerns are, because again, the record doesn't really speak to how they played some of the games.
Yeah, it's style of play. Their ratings as far as shot per possession is 14 seconds. That they're averaging. So you figure sometimes they're gonna shoot it within 6 seconds if you had 14. Because if you can get back and you start talking about timeouts, out to timeout, passing the ball, that's what I'm concerned the most about. And they're perimeter-oriented. All of their guys drive it and pass it. And so it's just a totally different style, even different than UC San Diego, and they have a different kind of style of play. But also, they've played a lot of teams well, played them close. But then, normally kind of at the end of the game, they kind of fall off a little bit or lose the lead or get in foul trouble because they're not a deep team. And then they're just coming off a win. So, again, I'm sure they're going to come in and say, man, we're playing well and got in the winning column and be really pumped up about it. So we've got to establish early on that, we want the game as bad as they want it. So, but it's just as you said, I mean, every night and you can't, I thought everybody was going to deal with home games, but now people are winning on the road and losing at home. So I just think it's going to go down to the wire. And as I told our guys, that win would have really helped us the other night to move up in the standings. But again, if you can just get 2 or 3 wins, anyone, it could change your place from being ninth to 4th or 3rd pretty quickly if you win the right game. So, but we've got to focus on Thursday night, and that's the only thing. Because if you look past people, you're going to get beat, and we can't do that. We need every game that we can get, and obviously one of our goals is always to protect home, and this is another home game and a great opportunity for us.
You mentioned win 2-3 games in a row. You got to win 3 to get to the NCAA tournament, so it's not a bad time to start practicing that, right?
You're exactly right. And I think in our team, and I told our guys, I think we're playing better basketball, but we could play better, and we could get better defensively. We could have a better start. We got some things that we could fix if we get off to a better start. And again, I think if we play better defense, I thought at times the other night we defended pretty well. But again, and we got to get a little bit more consistency from each guy. Jamel has been scoring, but we got to get our guys where Marvin third is doing what he's doing every night. And I thought the other night it was a bounce back from Corey. I thought he had been, lost some confidence a little bit, even though he had been playing. Saw a lot more out of him yesterday in practice, but I saw it leading up to the game, and obviously he went in the game and played well. And so we all got to get better, even from me, because I talked about mistakes I made the other night. So we just got to make sure that we're on point, and I think everybody wants to win. Everybody believes we can win, but we got to go out and do it.
On that note, what's the message on the bounce back games coming Thursday? I mean, you want to show that you should have won that, and hopefully you show it right here at home.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm always with our guys is trying to work on consistency. Because again, when you're in this league, and I mentioned this the other night, it's not just here in the Big West. It's all across the country. I mean, any given night, you got the number 3 team. I watched their game last night. Iowa State lose at Arizona, and pretty much probably, Iowa State probably made a mistake that I made earlier this year where they probably should have fouled in the backcourt, but they gave up the 3 and then lost in overtime. That's just college basketball right now. College basketball is older, and it's more balanced across the board. So these leagues are, to win the league or stay at the top in the league, it's tough every night. Even the teams that have been winning, they're winning by 2 or 3, 4 points every night for the most part. You have some separation at the top like we do it with Irvine, but rest of the games are just nail biters. And again, as a competitor, you want to be in those situations, but as a winner, you want to win those games.
The defense without Tom Marks, your opinion, how they doing, and how's that next man up going for you?
Well, I mean, we need Tom. I mean, he's a big factor in what we do, from just his length, his athleticism, his ability to block shots. He makes some plays, whether he gets the rebound or knocks the ball out, or he gets his hand on a lot of balls that other guys just, with that kind of range, we don't have that. And even the other night, I thought down the stretch there, a couple of those guys got to the basket, we would have allowed those guys to go for Tom to have an opportunity to block their shot. And, we had to foul on one of them, and on the other one, they made the shot. So it's a big loss for us, but again, I don't, most of the teams in our league, they start losing people, have lost people, but this year, it's more people that have stayed healthy than in the past. So hopefully we can get them back. The great thing about it is we still got some time and some games to go, and hopefully we can get them back soon. But definitely we're not as good, without him. And again, I think it changes us. I think offensively, we got some different guys out there that are helping us offensively, but defensively, we definitely miss him.
Do you think having him back, you really think, one of the major keys in helping you guys reach that ceiling you guys are looking for in the second half?
Oh, there's no question about that. Because, again, I think offensively, I think we're scoring enough. We're kind of at the numbers I anticipated, what I desired, the goals at the beginning of the year. Defensively, we haven't been as good. And again, he's that defensive guy. And again, you would have to, really study and see how much impact. He does a lot of little things that is not even in the stat sheet. He helps and recovers. He's a big target. When he hedges, he can get back. He can switch and guard smaller guys. He's vocal. He knows what's going on. And, it's like losing your point guard or losing your quarterback. He's an important piece to making everything work for us defensively.
So there's nothing ever wrong watching Jamel Jones shoot a basketball because he's really good. But does it sometimes seem like the offense gets a little stagnant watching him?
Oh, no doubt. There's no question about that. He's a different kind of source, and you'll remember this. He's different than Damian Durham, but it's kind of the same kind of medicine. You can live with it because there's going to be some great things happening, and sometimes there's going to be some things that don't go well. That's one of the areas that I think we all, for me as a coach and our assistant coaches and our staff and the players, that we've got to sometimes, figure out something a little bit different. It gets stagnant sometime with him, but then also it's time when he made great plays, and hopefully, again, as we move forward and as we keep on working, because people are starting now to try to really kind of take him away. So we've got to, really work on with them taking him away. Before, I think people thought, oh, he ain't going to make the next one. And now I think they think we're not going to even give him a chance to make the next one. And in that case, yeah, the offense gets stagnant, and we got to, again, that's an area that we can improve on. The good thing about it, he doesn't turn it over a lot, and the other thing is you always don't know, hopeful, you jump up and make it. But I think we can be better offensively and have a little bit more fluid than what we are, and I think that'll help us.
He seems to have really good court vision and makes some terrific passes when the opportunity presents itself.
Yep.
I just whether backdoor cuts or behind the big guys on the baseline or just anything because it seems like, again, not that it's by design, but sometimes the other guys get caught watching him try to break down a defender instead of maybe moving around. I didn't know if there's any.
Well, it's easy to say. It's easy to say that watching it, and it is easy to identify that as a coach. But when you're out there playing and a guy making shots, and some of them shots, you like, is he really going to take that? And then he makes it, then you kind of wondering, especially if you're a guy, which happens sometime, and I'm a guy that's going to get back on defense, and I'm one of those guys, and I'm like, and again, I do think, I think he can pass the ball, I think he can see the floor, but also I think he can make any shot, in all shots, and and that's what we brought him here for, to make big shots, but to add to what you're saying, I think there are some things that we got to do. Because, again, when people haven't done that, you know what I'm saying, and then we haven't had a player that's like that, it causes for everybody to make some adjustments. And, he did it the other night, and Jaden, we cut Jaden back door, and and we didn't score the basket. And Jamel made a good play, and we didn't score. But we've talked about that, and guys have to figure out, in the middle of the game what's kind of going on, because sometimes it doesn't look good and it looks like he's not in a good position and he makes a shot, and then the next time it slows us up. So again, I think that's just us working and talking and having certain things that we start to do that we haven't done, and those are the adjustments that you make as a staff and as a team, because now everybody kind of know what you're doing. After we play Poly, I think we've been a play to everyone. So we'll go to Northridge, and we pretty much know their team. We pretty much know their calls. We kind of know what they expect. And they're going to try to take some stuff away from us, and we're going to try to take some stuff away from them. And now we're starting to see what people are starting to do, with Jamel. And now we can say, hey, look, if this happens, hey, we need to do this, or you need to do that as far as a player. But it's just adjustments you make during the year, and we got to make some. There's no question about that, because, again, we need him to score, but we also need our offense to flow pretty smoothly. And you've identified something that I have too, and again, it's just, I'm a coach, and I'm like, man, they're about to trap him. And then all of a sudden he wiggles and jumps up, and I'm like, whoa, he just made a shot. So you kind of like, did that happen? And I think our players sometimes, as you say, start to watch a little bit. And again, we've got to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we can continue to have a flow in our offense.
So final one for me, and I know certain teams take certain things away from your offense.
Yeah.
But you've spoken to the point that you guys are better when CJ's aggressive and he gets things. It looks like he's returned to that a little bit. But it seems like certain guys at certain times that we see that have performed sometimes disappear or pull back. And again, maybe it's the other team when they're scouting.
Yep.
Like Marvin III is a case of that.
Right.
He's had some really big games, but he's had games. I know a couple games ago he didn't even score,
Right.
and he had a quiet night last time. So just your thoughts in terms of guys who are main cogs of your offense, who sort of ebb and flow a lot. What's that a product of?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think whenever you have a lot of balance, and you have balance, that's going to happen from game to game. When you have guys that are, I think we have 4 guys from 9 and up. That's going to kind of have a little. The thing that you want to be is whatever you do, you want to be efficient in it. The other night, just not necessarily by design, they're trying to take things away from Marvin now, just his open 3 shot. So they've decided, hey, listen, you don't get out there and make him turn it down. So you got to kind of make the adjustments. I think just when you have enough people that are aggressive, or enough people that are playing, you're going to have that. But it's the numbers. It's if I'm going to take, just for instance, for him, if he's going to take 5 threes, on a consistent basis, we need for him to make 2. It don't need to be 1 for 5 or 1 for 6. That's when you start talking about guys not really like just playing well. So, but then again, because we have different people that can outscore, what you want almost every night is to have 3 or 4 guys in double figures, and then that makes it work regardless of who they are. And a guy having a bad night, our thing is, I think, even in the process, that each guy has to understand how important we need for them to deliver when we need for them to deliver. That's when you got a really good team. If a guy's a 3-point shooter and you need a 3 and he gets a good look, then you need for him to deliver the 3. And again, I think what we've seen from Marvin III the last couple of games, we kind of saw that with Corey Stevenson a few games before. And we've got to try to balance that out again, because when a guy like CJ is playing well, we just got to get enough people. That helps you as far as depth, but it doesn't help you when guys they're not efficient. They don't put up good numbers. And what I mean by good numbers, good shooting percentages. And that's when it's tougher than not necessarily them not scoring, but when they still take shots or still have the opportunities, and that you don't get anything out of it.
My apologies to everybody. I have one more. And that is, I don't want to drag you into the Jamel Jones flagrant foul call, but I do want to ask you about the, no, the teaching tool that comes with a play like that, because that was huge. And if you want to talk about the play, go right ahead. But it's more about, he had to call in Santa Barbara, he had this one here that was completely different and maybe more questionable, but I just wanted your thoughts on the whole thing.
I don't know how to teach what happened the other night. I went back and looked at the film. And again, unless there's an angle that I didn't have, and I think I had two, I don't know what I was supposed to say as far as teaching point. I mean, if you look at the film, if you look at it like, what am I supposed to do? The guy's at the basket, and you know, we don't want to give up a layup in a sense, but I mean, I can't teach it. I don't know what to teach there. I can teach what happened and discourage or tell our guys that the play at Santa Barbara was a total different play. But there's no way. I mean, I don't know what to say there. You know, maybe I tell them to get over and help earlier and leave the guy in the corner wide open, or when he realized that the guy getting to the basket, like, yeah, it's a minute and go. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, you know, I don't know. That's all I can say. Like, I don't know how. I don't know if I can say anything in that position in that situation. Again, I mean, we've had a few flagrant calls, and some of them, the one that Santa Barbara, justifiable. You know, that's why there was no argument. There was no questioning for me as far as it's a bad play. Again, I don't think, and he knows, and I think their coaches know, it wasn't intended to hurt the kid. It was just a bad play. The other night, again, unless someone wants to send me another angle, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to teach it. I mean, there was no horse collar. It wasn't no pull down. It wasn't no hanging call. It wasn't no slap to the head. It wasn't no slap down. Everything that ever been explained to me, it didn't happen in that play. So I would tell him to do the same thing if we had a play again tomorrow night.
So I'm curious, I'm done here, but I'm curious because my brother, when he coached college football, they had plays that they thought were bogus. They'd send them to the league or whatnot. Do you guys do the same thing?
Next question.
But no, I just mean as a rule. I mean, I think all coaches in the league might. Do you send plays in, or do you
continue our midweek press conference with head coach Wideman. I will now open it up for questions.
Well, tell us about that tangent.
We're doing scout defense against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo actions, and I was like, just got to get 3 stops in a row, and we can leave. And it just took a lot longer than I thought. And I just talked about how game prep. I mean, it's like 20 hours of film for a good scout, and the prep doesn't matter if you don't have heart and have effort on both ends. So we talked about that, and those situations happen in games where people will start to go on runs, and we gotta get a stop, and the people on the floor have to make it happen. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel, you gotta dig deep, and then people on the bench, everybody has to find some juice and pour into people so they can get the job done. So we're figuring out how to be consistent still, and so that's a continuous work in progress.
So speaking of progress, how do you define it these days right now? I mean, we don't have to ask about the winning thing, but at the same time, obviously wins and losses are a barometer that everybody looks at.
Yeah.
But you're looking for progress that says we're better than we used to be. What do you look at?
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, Fullerton, we had our chances to win that game, and then I thought at Riverside, TC Riverside, we had a chance too. We were up at half, and so at least we're in games. It's more fun than when they're blowouts. It's more fun to be in tight situations. Now we just gotta execute and figure out exactly how to win and manage those moments. And so yeah, there's growth there, and so it's better to be in games and to compete and have a chance to win. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sounds like an obvious question. It was, given where you guys were in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, disappointing, I would say, for that. I think I talked about it before, but just trying to get the ball in our best players' hands, and them having to score in those moments is key. And I think we're still trying to find who is comfortable in those moments and consistently will kind of put the team on their back. And so it was tough because I thought we definitely had multiple chances to win that game. And then we got cold in the third quarter against UC Riverside too. I think that it was 22-6 in that quarter. And so you just can't have those gaps. Everything else was pretty close. But yeah, those ones hurt. But we're all trying to figure out how to get the job done. And so just putting in new actions, trying to find exactly what will work. Always trying to put them in the best spots based off of data. So just added a couple things this week, and hopefully we'll execute. End of clock, end of quarter, when we need a bucket.
Has the leader emerged? Has that person that you want to have the ball emerged, or what?
Late game for that, I think it's tough because I can get it from one person on one night, and then it kind of feels like a gamble because I'll try to play through someone each time. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I do have confidence in Ari. Marley, when she's really eager, she'll look to score. So those two I like to play through. I thought at Northridge that game that Marley, inserting her in at the 5-minute mark, she changed the entire game in the fourth quarter. And so, but it's just trying to find a consistent go-to, just someone you can count on every night in, night out for the same thing, So continually trying to find that and put in actions for those people. Katie loves those moments, I would say. Katie Gingra, even though she's only a freshman, redshirt freshman, she loves those moments and taking big-time shots. So it's nice to have her out there too.
So what about Polly? What do we know about them?
Yeah, I know they play hard as heck. I mean, their head coach played hard as a player, but they run a lot of actions. I mean, she runs good stuff and good counters to it. They have one of the best guards in our conference in Shaw. She's a 5'3" guard from Palo Alto, but she can shoot it. She's like a little Curry out there, and so we have to really do a good job containing her. They have some good guard play, and their posts can stretch the floor. So we have to be really sound defensively, and our ball screen coverage has to be really good. And we've done breakdowns defensively of everything they run, so it's just stopping it now. And then conversely, we need to push the ball in transition and try to keep maximizing that. We'll do it in spurts, but We want to play fast the whole game, and so we've got to put them on their heels a little bit.
So you got, I'm guessing, around a dozen games left or something like that.
Yeah.
How do you define success in these last dozen games?
Success for the last dozen, I would say, just can we get the most out of this group? That's really important to me, and hopefully get some wins to stack. When I was at San Jose State, my first year coming in, I think we won like 6 games, but it was like 5 of the last 7. And then the next year we won 19 as we built and we recruited. And so just to see things piece together and then, know exactly what holes we need to fill is really important to me. But if we can get the most out of them, that they play clean the right way, and you start to see everything that we worked on translate, I think that would be huge, and winning would be a plus. But for them to be confident and, maximize everything that they've been taught, and to just play really hard. Effort, I don't believe you should coach effort at this level. And I just want them to play hard, play confident, and play together. That would be really important.
You mentioned, and I know this, you can't name names or anything, but you mentioned recruiting. What has that been like? Have you've made some inroads? Sometimes a kid might look at the record and go no, but sometimes they might say yes because of the record, and, PT, or whatever. I'm just sort of wondering what kind of feedback have you gotten as you've been out there?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think when people see stylistically, like they're, we've had recruits on campus, they're like, we can see like everything works, and and I'm just telling people to be part of the solution more so. I think some kids can be hesitant and like, I believe in you and your vision. How long will it take? And so, but I want the ones who want to be part of it, and like that's why I took this job. You know what I mean? And then we got Ophelia Powell from New Zealand here. She's here 6 months early since she was able to finish. And I mean, she was a top 20 kid. Was at Stephen Adams camp, and so she's somebody in that guard spot who has FIBA experience. And when she came, she was like, I want to be part of the solution too, right? And so it's just trying to find those kids with an edge, because, and that's why JUCO, I think we'll get a couple commits pretty soon, but JUCO kids who really feel like they were overlooked, play super hard, and then transfers, like we'll get some transfers, I believe, especially kids who left California, ideally to bring them home. And then so just selling that, and the fact that there's so much parity, like everybody in this conference is it doesn't matter if you're at the top or the bottom, you can be beat. And so just telling them that it's a winnable conference, like, we want to be at the top 3 next year, not trying to wait a long time. And so that's a huge part of it. Will you be part of the solution more than anything?
If there are no more questions, thank you, Coach.
Sweet, thank you.
Thanks, Ari, appreciate it.
No problem.